Who is it? Who is it? Are we ready? Are we ready? Who is it? Who is it? Are we ready? Are we ready? This is New Orleans.
All right. And let's go into the next leg of it as we go to breaking down this. And this is just what the insiders have from Mickey Loomis in this situation with AK-41 and the Alvin Kamara situation. I'll touch on that. Y'all listen to this.
Curious, what was Kamara's reaction to that incredible move you made, bringing in Travis Etienne? And is Alvin definitely going to be on the New Orleans Saints this year?
Yeah, I think we're still trying to, work through that to see where we're at roster-wise. And look, there's a couple areas there that we've got to, work through. So I'd rather not comment on it right now, but it's certainly an exciting possibility.
Mike, we see the Saints every year making various cap moves, usually converting big base salaries to signing bonuses, pushing those hits off into the future. They adjusted Alvin Kamara's contract, but not in the typical way, which all points toward there being a decision, whatever it might be, a little over a month from now.
Yeah. Now, previously, Alvin Kamara had not been there for the spring, so this is something that could play out as we get through this current spring. The expectation is that something will happen post-June 1st. When it comes to Alvin Kamara, that's the date that we've talked about for A.J. Brown. It's for salary cap purposes because at that point, you could potentially push some salary cap implications into the future. So when he says they're still trying to work through that, and given the fact that they signed Travis Etienne in free agency, a lot of people think, well, Kamara's going to move on. Now, the other part of this is that he's got guaranteed money. So the next team, if there's a next team, is going to have to pay above that and make it worth Alvin Kamara's while. I truly, honestly believe that. But I know Kamara said last year at the trade deadline, if you trade me, I'm going to a beach. I'm playing for the Saints or only the Saints. I don't necessarily believe that that's the case. I believe if he winds up not being a Saint this season, that he would be interested in potentially playing elsewhere if the situation's right, if the money's right, if everything's right, Judy.
Okay, now that's some new information. Never heard that before. Never heard that. I don't know if that's him speaking, Garofalo speaking in terms of what he knows, or he's just assuming right there. He didn't cite any sources there, but I did not hear him say that. I actually believe Alvin Kamara when he said what he said about staying in New Orleans, and if he can't play for the Saints, that he's going to sip pina coladas on the beach somewhere in retirement. So, I mean, I believe AK-41 when he said that. There's not been any information outside of that. And I don't know on that. And Garofalo is a good insider, but he didn't cite any sources there. But we'll see what it is because it's really in the hands of AK-41. All of this is in the hands of AK-41. He has to take the pay cut to stay on the team. The Saints they want to get rework his deal, and it's tied to Chris Olave deal. Like the Saints want to get the Olave deal done. A lot of people don't believe they want to pay Chris Olave. That's why it's dragging. I think it's tied to AK-41. At some point, there has to be a cutoff point for Mickey Loomis and a decision that they need to make with AK-41 where they have to be a timeline. They can't let it drag on forever. At some point, they have to address the situation. Let me play this again.
He would be interested in potentially playing if that's the case. I believe last year at the trade deadline, if you trade me, I'm going to a beach. I'm playing for the Saints or only the Saints. I don't necessarily believe that that's the case. I believe if he winds up not being a Saint this season, that he would be interested in potentially playing elsewhere if the situation's right, if the money's right, if everything's right, Judy.
He said, I believe. He didn't cite any sources, so that's his opinion, not information that he's gathered, perhaps. But the reality is, like, I can only take AK-41. He ain't, he didn't seem like he was joshing about not wanting to play for the Saints. He wanted to be a one-team player. The Saints were willing to keep him. They just want him to take a reduction in pay to remain with the team, which they are in there right because Alvin is not RB1 anymore. He's RB2. They got Travis Etienne Jr. as RB1 right now. So the Saints saying, we got another feature back. You're to compliment in your final season. Can we rework that money situation? So it's up to AK-41. They has to have a timeline involved with this whole situation, because the Saints are right now really focused on that. And we'll see what it is going forward, man. But it's interesting, though.
This team is clearly trying to get younger and build around their young quarterback, Tyler Shough. Right. Alvin Kamara is going to be 31 years old this summer. His production declined pretty dramatically last season, they drafted 3 wide receivers and a tight end. So they are clearly looking to put as many pieces around Shook as they can. This is his second season. It's a big season for growth and see if he can make the jump. It's a big season to evaluate him, to see what he's going to be. They got Travis Etienne. They are building around the quarterback. And Alvin Kamara is on the wrong side of 30, will be on the wrong side of 30 for a running back in the NFL. Clearly also a move by the Saints to get a lot younger with their young quarterback.
Yeah, and that's kind of commonsensical in my book, but the reality is it's all in Alvin's hands. Not only that, she's right. The Saints drafted 3 wide receivers. They drafted a tight end with the 3rd round pick. They also got a guard at the right guard position. In free agency, they picked up a left guard, veteran, the best in the free agency cycle there. So the Saints have been consistent in adding players. They added Noah Fant as a backup tight end. They got all that stuff going on. So they did add talent where talent needed to be, offensively speaking, and they're not done. Eventually down the line, we'll see what they got, up their sleeve. But we still stuff they can add via light trade, all this kind of stuff during training camp if they see a fit that they need to attack. But man, listen, Ty Chandler's another one you got to throw in there. So the Saints brought in 2 running backs. This in terms of guys that will see some action. They have 2 running backs. They has Travis Etienne, and then later on they signed Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler is some consider him a 3rd down space eater, a space back, catch the ball out the backfield, very fast, very elusive. He's also a player the Saints added, for insurance purposes to the running back room. So I think the Saints are ready to go into 27 season, whether AK-41 is with them or not. But they are leaving it up to him. And like I said before, I think Alvin Kamara should retire a Saint. I think he earns that right, but at the same time, he feels like he's earned that money, and obviously he doesn't want to take that cut. He doesn't want to take that cut. So at some point, the Saints might have to pull a hatchet out. So do they have a point in that? Yes, they do, because he's no longer the RB1. He's not the featured back. It's somebody else. And, like I said, Kellen Moore is terraforming this entire offense. He's changing everything. He's adding speed all over the place. He's bringing in his sort of wide receivers, guys that can stretch the field. The Saints offense will be predicated and based on verticality. We talked about it last year when the Saints was kind of struggling to find their way early in the year. We talked about them dinking, dunking, and all these east-west passes and all that. Then you started to see in the second half of the year, things open up when Tyler Shuck stepped in there and they started throwing the ball down the field. And that's what the thing we were selling, man, get the ball up the field. I mean, we understand the inside stuff every now and again, but instead of having one outright with a bunch of ends and all this kind of stuff, and let's get 3 of them going and stretching out. One of those, you see what I'm saying? Let's get them going. Stretch them out, and that's what the Saints are doing. So you get the 3 tight end set that they're bringing back. You got multiple running backs with speed and versatility out of the backfield. You got Travis Etienne, who's a guy that can do it all. You got Ty Chandler, who's a good backup. The Saints do have Devin Neal that they drafted. They'll be counting on. So guys like Alvin and Kendre Miller could be out of here. Kendre Miller could be long but gone, and certain people could be up out of here. But the Saints are quickly terraforming this team to be fast and furious. That's the bottom line. So, of course, I want AK-41 to remain a member of the Who Dat Nation, no doubt about that. But ultimately, he will have to take a pay cut to remain with the team. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what's called on. He would have to take a pay cut role to remain with the team. So the Saints obviously want some of that money back. So we'll see what Mickey Loomis got going on. But at the end of the day, it simply is what it is, and we'll just have to watch it. All right, so that's all I got for you guys on this episode. Tell me what you think about this topic in the chat below. Let me know, man, how y'all feel. Also, shout out to FanDuel, the official sponsor of the show. Shout out to FanDuel. Y'all go to FanDuel, check out the prop bets, boxing, whatever. They got you covered at FanDuel. And also big ups to the fan. Appreciate y'all. Y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We've seen the stats about a great many people listen to the Sports Coma but are not subscribed. So do me this favor. Hit the subscribe button, man, and it helps us out, right? Also the like button and the notification bell for future content as well. But it helps out the stream as we press for 15,000. I think we're a little less than 200 subs. So if you want to help us out, man, help us get to that big 15, that 1.5, man. We are approaching that. That's a major mile marker. Very proud of that work. But nonetheless, with that being said, y'all fill in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think about this topic. And I'm going to respond. I'll try to do my best to respond to all the comments in the section. But listen, I appreciate y'all as always, man. And listen, I'll holler at you on the next one. Much love, peace, and who that tell you.
Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gonna beat them Saints? Who that? Who that?
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the whodatdaily.com. Your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the whodatdaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for links in the description section below or in the chat.